Sabah Muslim is proudly sponsored by Shiraz Auto. For all your Mercedes-Benz sales, service and parts requirements, call Shiraz Auto on 011-213-1100 or visit our website at shirazauto.co.za.
Middle East Report on Sabah Muslim. Well, just gone 8 o'clock. It is time for the Middle East Report, and we wish a good day to James Dorsey, Senior Fellow at Singapore's S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, joining us live from Singapore. Hi, James.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
James, focusing on Saudi Arabia. Now, we know that Turkey's president is there currently, but from a Saudi Arabian perspective, they seem to be targeting a more Republican Washington. The Saudis and the Republicans have got something going for a number of decades now. Bush Jr., Bush Sr., whoever it may have been in that office. What's the latest coming out of this long-standing Saudi-Republican relationship?
Well, whether the Saudis still have something going with the Republicans remains to be seen. There's a lot of Republican questioning of Saudi Arabia, certainly since the killing in 2018 of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Having said that, the Saudis, like the UAE, are deeply upset with the United States. They feel that the United States has not stood up for them in terms of defense against Iranian and Iranian-backed Houthi attacks. Obviously, they've been unhappy with the position that President Joe Biden has taken with regard to Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince. And as a result, they've been suggesting that they are diversifying their international relations, patching up with various of their former foes, including the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's currently in Riyadh, and refusing to increase oil production in the bid to reduce prices as a result of the Ukraine crisis. So they're betting on basically Republicans winning back control of the Congress in the United States in the midterm elections, and possibly in 2024 a return of Donald Trump, who's been very friendly to them in the past. But that may be, one, they don't have a lot of alternative. In other words, they've got nowhere to go in terms of their defense but the United States. China and Russia are not alternatives at this point. And the Republicans may also be critical of them because with the oil prices, they were a friend that wasn't there when the United States needed help.
Abu Dhabi or crude oil heading to Europe to replace Russian oil. How is this going to work in the long term? Stopgap maybe, but do they have the capacity to actually replace Russian oil on the international scene?
Well, it's not a question, I think, of replacing Russian oil as such, but obviously the more sources there are, or the more increase in deliveries from diverse sources, the less the dependence on Russian energy becomes. I think that what you're seeing is, coming back to what we were discussing before, that the UAE, maybe a little bit earlier than Saudi Arabia, is starting to realize that it needs to keep good relations with Washington, that it really it can diversify to a degree, it can hedge its bets to a degree, but ultimately its security alliance is in Washington, not in Beijing or Moscow. And as a result, they have said that they're willing to increase oil deliveries to Europe in order to help Europe wean itself off the dependency on Russia.
James, we've seen an improved Saudi-Pakistani relationships as of late, raising concerns about renewed nuclear cooperation. One wonders why the Saudis and Emiratis haven't already built their own nuclear plant, with the money they have, and they need to diversify in a finite resource like oil. But anyway, Pakistan may give them the impetus. Should this be a source of concern for some of the neighbors at least?
Well, I think we need to divide issues here. First of all, the United Arab Emirates has its first nuclear plant, which was inaugurated in the last year. Saudi Arabia has plans for nuclear energy. The issue is not the civilian use of nuclear energy. The issue is a nuclear arms race. Pakistan is a nuclear power. There's always a suspicion that Saudi Arabia has helped them become a nuclear power, and that there is therefore a relationship. You just had the fall of the government of Imran Khan and the return of one of the Sharif brothers, who've always been very close to Saudi Arabia. And so in the context of increased discussion of the potential of nuclear war as a result of Ukraine, the fact that if Ukraine had or kept held on to its nuclear weapons, which it gave up in the 1990s, then it probably wouldn't have been invaded by Russia. It serves as an incentive for countries like Saudi Arabia, but also potentially Turkey, to become nuclear powers. And that concern has been fueled by the return of the Sharifs in Islamabad.
Saudi Arabia and Iran holding the fifth round of security talks. What's the latest on that?
So you've had a series of talks over the last year by the Saudis and the Iranians in an effort to dial down tension in the region, part of a larger effort by various countries to reduce tensions. Saudi Arabia broke off diplomatic relations with Iran in 2016 after its embassy was ransacked in Tehran in protest to the execution of a Shiite cleric. The Saudis are looking for a way out of the war in Yemen. It's been 8 years, and it's been a quagmire for Saudi Arabia. They feel that Iran can be helpful in that because of its support for the Houthi rebels. And so what you're seeing is that these talks are focusing on that. There's a first step, what it seems, towards some degree of moderation, which is that the Iranian embassy in Riyadh will function or reopen, not as an embassy to Saudi Arabia, but as an embassy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation.
James Dorsey, once again, thank you for your time, and have a good weekend ahead, and keep well.
And happy Eid.
And indeed, much blessed indeed. James Dorsey joining us all the way from Singapore with the Middle East report. Up